Tom, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. I hope the family is well.
Yes, thank you very much. Same here. Happy Christmas and Happy New Year, Amber and Larry. Thank you for having me.
Tom, I want to start with something local here because we had Delegate Neil Parrott from Maryland on about a week and a half ago to talk about the lawsuit that he has started against the state of Maryland over gerrymandered districts, and you guys are his partners on that, right? You're actually filing the suit.
Yeah, we sued for Neil and other voter residents of Maryland against the state of Maryland over this absurd gerrymandering they have. I mean, it's one thing to engage in politics and kind of make sure your party benefits from a redistricting, and as the census happens every 10 years, the states redistrict, change their congressional maps to reflect the changes in population. And the politics of gerrymandering is that what the party controlling the legislature kind of tries to work it to increase the advantages for that party. But some of that is politics, and that's, in my view, fine. But it goes into abuse of power and unconstitutional gerrymandering. What you do when you do what Maryland has done, which is made districts that are, for instance, are connected by nothing other than the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. I mean, that's just not legitimate under the Maryland Constitution. So we have this challenge on behalf of Parrott and I think residents of every district of Maryland.
Tom, one of the things we like to do at the end of the year is we like to look back and reflect and talk about some of the best or the worst moments that happened in 2021. And I'm hoping that you can give listeners sort of a recap of Judicial Watch's biggest victories over the past year.
Well, in terms of whether it's a Judicial Watch victory or not, I mean, we can't forget the crisis at the beginning of the year, and it's not January 6th. It was the attempt to impeach and then punish a former president of the United States, Donald Trump. It was an extraordinary abuse of power. And, we came into the year with Biden sick, in my view, cognitively challenged, having a significant personal corruption issue, trying to manage the rising communists in his party versus, the typically corrupt corporatists that run in many ways both parties. And Congress is closely divided. An election that many Americans rejected as legitimate. And, we've been facing that all year. You wouldn't know that from the media, but that's the situation we began and where we are now. And, as a result, Judicial Watch had to kind of step up in many ways and provide some basic oversight because Congress wasn't going to do it over the administration or over any issues, whether nonpartisan or not.
Yeah.
Like who knew what and when about China and COVID and gain of function. We exposed that Fauci was spending a lot more money than has been known. It wasn't just the Wuhan Institute, which has been the center of the storm about whether COVID emerged from a lab or not, but China's entire biological research program was largely funded by your tax dollars. And we exposed that, not Congress, not anyone else. It's really, really quite remarkable. And we exposed that Fauci was likely lying about it all, or certainly being misleading, because he was very nervous about gain of function when the COVID emerged. But you wouldn't have known that from the way he was talking early on. And we exposed not only was it likely happening, but they knew it was happening and was very nervous about it from the get-go, which suggests some guilt there.
Yeah, and Tom, I mean, that's all very good stuff, and I know that you're continuing to try to get text messages and emails from Ron Klain and other people in the White House staff, whether they were involved in any cover-ups regarding Hunter Biden and Burisma and all that stuff. And thank God you're going to continue that effort at Judicial Watch for years to come. But you mentioned January 6th, and I need you to sort of explain some stuff to me because I'm confused. We know for a fact that there were FBI informants involved in this, that the FBI knew a lot more than they ever told us when it happened and after it happened. They still haven't told us everything that they know about what happened on January 6th, and yet we're not having any of them in front of this ridiculous kangaroo court of a committee on Capitol Hill. We also have this guy caught on video multiple times. His name is Ray Epps, and he's drumming up people the night before saying, we got to march into the Capitol. We have to. I mean, I'm thinking if I'm going to be a committee, if I'm going to start arresting people, I'd get Ray Epps first, this guy who seems to be drumming up and whipping up the crowd to go storm the Capitol, and yet he seems to be one of the one guys the FBI doesn't seem to care about.
Well, look, the FBI has admitted, at least in the New York Times, and if you believe the New York Times, the FBI acknowledged there was an informant that was part of the group that went up to the Capitol, and this FBI informant informed them there was no grand conspiracy. It just happened. It was circumstances that led to what we saw, and that's a major issue. You've got people in jail who may otherwise should not be there because of the government involvement. But secondly, here you've got the January 6th committee, as you say, illegitimate, protecting Nancy as opposed to doing a thorough investigation, because Nancy Pelosi was essentially in charge of security that day. And we uncovered that the feds knew early on, frankly, everyone kind of knew there was going to be a big rally, and they knew there was going to be a big group before the Capitol, and the police situation there was the security was abysmal, and they had all sorts of warning that there was going to be a big crowd, yet they did nothing to protect that crowd and the Capitol. And then secondly, you had this killing of Ashley Babbitt. I mean, what I think is one of the biggest stories is the lack of interest by the media and Congress and the institutional left in this country into this police shooting that was not justified of an American that ended up killing her. And Lieutenant Byrd, we uncovered, didn't cooperate with the D.C. police investigation. We uncovered the video of the shooting, or another video that showed that it was reckless and dangerous because there were policemen directly behind her when she was shot. Mm-hmm. And we're in a battle now with the Congress to get the videos of January 6th. They're telling us it was the worst day in the history of America. Yet they're telling the court not 1 second of the video should be released under the transparency laws to Judicial Watch of the American people because the public interest doesn't require it. This is where we are on January 6th. It's not Bannon not cooperating. It's the cover-up by Pelosi and her colleagues in Congress about what they have about that day.
Yeah. It's amazing. This search for the truth seems to really be overlooking a lot of facts that plenty of us are hoping that will come to light at some point. But thankfully, due to the work of people like Tom Fitton at Judicial Watch and other important journalists who are trying to sort through all this stuff, we will get as much as we possibly can. Tom, Happy New Year. It's always good to talk to you, sir.
Thank you. Happy New Year to both.